All right, here's the Crusaders. Let's see, there's like 6 of the locomotive shells and only 5 of the tenders. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm only going to paint these 3 in the blue and silver color. And then, like I said, there's 3 locomotive shells, 2 tender shells in here that I'm not going to paint. My friend Andy, who printed these off, he, I guess he didn't want me to paint his. He's going to paint it himself, probably a different color than the blue and silver, I guess. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I don't know which one he wants over there. So there's a few extras there, but I'm going to do one for me and one for Ryan, and then just have an extra one because I don't know, just to make sure if there's any problems or something like that, we got extra. So it's just a blue on the boiler, the locomotive boiler, and then you got the side skirts in the front, and I think the cab and stuff, and then the complete tender will get the silver. And I'm just going to use my craft paint I got. Cobalt blue will be the blue. And then I got, this is brushed silver, pale silver. So I'll use that on my airbrush too. So I'll probably start with the blue and do that. And tape off after it's dried good. And then do all the silver. So, and then I'll probably have to do some touch up and stuff because it's just hard to get it taped off properly. But it'll look good when it's all finished. And then I got the decals in a little drawer there. So I know I got a couple sets, so we'll see how many we got. I may have to try to make some more with my printer or something, but hopefully they turn out a little bit better. I don't know if I need to. But like I said, I'm going to do the blue first and then let it dry really good. Probably do like 5 coats of blue and then the same with the silver. So let me get started, get my airbrush set up and the paint mixed up and all that good stuff and get started. All right, everyone. I got all my handy dandy little cardboard tube here. Christmas wrap tube, or whatever you want to call it. And I got my paint and my airbrush. So I'm just gonna do 5 coats on this blue, on the boiler cover with the blue. And I'll do 1 coat, and then I'll go over and get my hair dryer and blow dry it. It only takes like a minute or so, maybe 30 seconds, and it'll dry that. And then do another pass, and then dry it, and another pass until I get good coverage. It's usually about 5 coats, and that's all it usually takes, somewhere around there. Sometimes less, sometimes more, depending on the color and stuff. So these tubes work pretty good. I've had this one for quite a while. I've got a couple extra new ones over there. So, and then my little spray box so I don't get paint everywhere. I don't have a spray booth for this acrylic paint because you can pretty much eat it and it doesn't hurt you. It's a water-based. It's not really, it won't kill you like some of the other paints, like the lacquers or the enamels and stuff. You can pretty much eat that stuff and you'll be fine. So, I'm not too much worried about it. So let me get this painted and I'll show you. Like I said, I'm going to do a coat, dry it until I get it. So we'll get started. Let's do light coats. Fingers are cold. There's first coat. Pretty light. You don't want to go heavy, you don't want to run it. Just light coverage. That's why it takes like 5 coats. Coat number 2. Coat number 2. We hit it with a hair dryer. Number 3, I don't know if you can see it very well. I'm going to hit it with hair dryer. Coat number 4. You can see that shine on it. I'll take it over to the hair dryer, blow dry it until it don't have no shine on it. That's how you know it's dry. It only takes about 30 seconds to a minute. 5th coat. It's hard to see, there ain't no light right here, but now I'll go hair dryer it. All right, everybody, I got the blue painted and I got it taped off. I just used some old blue painter's tape. I didn't want to waste a good Tamiya tape on it because it's really hard to tape off. I mean, I could have spent, a half hour taping each one off, but I was like, yeah, I'll just tape it off best I can with the blue tape, and then I'm gonna go back and I'm always gonna need some touch up. So one way or the other, it's gonna have to be touched up, which is no big deal. And then I got this strip that goes across the front of the nose that I covered up with the tape. It'll be painted silver too. So I figure it's just easier to just tape off what I taped off here and just come back and brush paint that a couple coats or whatever it be. It'll probably take like 5 coats, I think, to get a nice coverage on here. And I'll do it like I did the blue. I'll spray it on a light coat, hair dryer it. It only takes like 30 seconds for it to dry, and just repeat that process for each coat until I probably get about 5 or 6 passes on here, or whatever it takes to make it look really good. And then I'll make sure to do the tender. The tender will be all silver, the whole thing. So if I do 5 or 6 coats on here, I'll make sure I do 5 or 6 coats on there. That way it looks the same. So I'm gonna put one completely together. I got a River Rossi chassis in there, 462 chassis. So I'll put the one I'm going to use for me, and then I'll have to build a chassis for this, which should be pretty easy. I'll just find me some River Rossi trucks. I think I got some around here. Put in there and build me a chassis for it, mount them trucks to it and stuff. It shouldn't be very hard to do. It should be pretty easy actually. And put a little weight in it. And then once I get this all painted, I'll clear it and add a coal load to it. And I'll go ahead and, after I get the silver done, I'll go ahead and do all the touch up real quick. It shouldn't be very much, probably a little bit around the cab, and then probably a little bit around the front and that silver piece and going up to the nose there. But it shouldn't take too long. I'll be right back when I get this done. All right, I've got these all painted, and then I let them dry good and put a couple light coats of clear on them. So now they're ready for decaling. So they turned out pretty nice. The blue and silver. And then the tenders. So I painted that black up there where the coal load would go. Look pretty good, I think. So I made some decals. I've got some of the original decals, so I put them on my scanner and copied them down, or scanned them into my computer and stuff like that, and got some decal paper and used the clear decal paper to make more decals, because this set is very, very hard to find. It's actually for passenger cars or something, but it works good for the locomotives. So you got the Crusaders, and then the badge that'll go on the front. We'll use the small one, the smallest one, and I made some extras. And then for the tender, I got these ones here. So I'll just use the rating and not the company. Just cut out the rating and use it on the tender. And then I got the numbers for the road number. I believe they're what, 501, 502, if I remember right. I'll have to double check. But I just made these with the clear style decal paper on my inkjet printer. And then I saved all this onto my my computer, so if I ever need to do any more, I can just go in there and just print them. I don't have to do any work. I just print them right off. So, but what I did was print these off, let them dry all night, and then put a coat of clear over top of these, and then let that dry good all night. And the clear I used over top the decals is the same clear that I used on the locomotives. Same clear I use on everything. It's that Rust-Oleum matte finish clear. So I just do a light coat. And I did put try some of these decals. The first time I tried them on that Dreyfus Hudson, I just had problems. So I tried them again, and I think they turned out pretty good. So that's it there. So I think it'll be okay. Hopefully. They laid down pretty good and all that. I put these on last night and they're good and dry. So now all I got to do is the road numbers on the shells, on this shell, which will go underneath the windows there, cab windows. And then put the redding on the side of the tender here. And I think that's about all I'm going to put on. Well, then you got that one that goes on the front here. I can't remember if it goes here or there. I'll have to look on my other locomotive and see. And then just let them dry and then clear them. Of course, I got to add handrails to at least one, the one for me. And I'm going to put some detail parts in here like a bell, if I can find one, and some other stuff that goes in these little spots here. Just on mine. And then this one is made for a River Rossi chassis. You got to remove this piece here. Just cut it out with a Dremel or something. And I got my chassis. Well, I got a chassis, I should say. It don't have a motor in it, but I've got motors. Hopefully I got motors. And should have drive shaft too. I'm sure I'm coming up with something. But I bought this last summer for this project. It didn't come with no tender, and you know, its front's broke and all that. This doesn't matter. I just needed the chassis out of it. So I got pretty cheap, you know. So yeah, I have to use the Pacific style chassis in these because the Hudson chassis is too long. I can use the motor out of the Hudson chassis because I believe they're the same. The only difference is the drive shaft's shorter on a Pacific than it is a Hudson. And that's it, really. And I know I've got some of those, so hopefully that'll work. And so I'm going to get this all decaled. And applying these decals is just like applying any other decals. You just got to be a little more careful with these because they seem like if you put them in the water and then put them on a paper towel, if they get too wet, the sides will curl up a little bit. So you got to be careful not to let them get too wet, you know. And then they slide right off. And then use your micro set and all that. And I mean, they're not as workable as some of your better decals like K4 or Circuit City or some of the others. You know, you can move them around for a while and stuff. Now, these ones are a little more, you know, tend to ripping, I guess you won't say. And so you got to be careful with them. That's why I printed a whole bunch off just in case I had a mistake. So I made enough for like 6 locomotives. That way I'd have some extras. And so I'm going to get back to decaling these up, and then I'm going to add the details to the one I'm going to build. One's for Ron, and I got extra one, and then Andy's in there. And I had an accident with my airbrush. I dropped it and it landed on one of the shells and broke them. So I don't know why. The thing doesn't weigh very much. It must be pretty brittle, but it's pretty cold out here too, so that could have been a factor too. But I'm gonna have to build the chassis for these, for at least one of these, and I think I'm going to use probably the parts out of this tender. It's a Southern, and it's I think it's from one of them RSOs. It's not a River Rossi. Yeah, I think it's from one of them RSO style locomotives. But it's got the metal wheels and the trucks and the pickups and all that, which is what I need. Because I did do electrical pickup from the tender and the locomotive. So I'll probably just make a flat piece of plastic or something for the bottom of the tender and mount these trucks to, and run some wires and run one of them two wire plugs from the locomotive to the tender, and make me a new pin there to pin it into the drawbar on the locomotive. And that should be pretty easy. I'll just take a little screw and kind of file the threads off of it, make it into like a little pin or something, or see if I got a pin or whatever. Find something around here. I'm sure I got something, but that's what I'm going to use those, because that's about the right style of trucks for this locomotive, I think, or for the tender. And it really ain't that much bigger than that one anyway. If you can't really, it's hard to see here. Yeah. So I think that's about the size I have on my other one anyway. And yeah, this is the extra tender. I don't even know where it came from. So we use that one. So let me get this finished up decaling and stuff, and then I'll be back. All right, so I've got them all decaled. The other two are over there on the shelf, but they look just like this. Yeah, Crusader, road number 117. The other one I have is 118. That's 3D printed over there in the train case. So I did this one, that's 117. I believe I said in the video they were 501 and 502 or something, but I was wrong. It's 117 and 118. That was the two locomotives they had. I don't know what I was thinking. But there's the other side. There's the front with that badge there. And that's about it for decals on the locomotive. And then on the tender, you got Reading there. And Reading on this side. But you notice the one side of this tender doesn't have rivets. Something with the print and didn't do rivets on that side, but that's okay. I went ahead and threw it in another Reading route on the back there. Thought maybe that'd be kind of cool. And then I put the coal loads in. Been good and dry for a couple days. And before I put that in, I clear coated, did the decals, let them dry real good overnight. Clear coated everything and let that dry good, and then put the coal load in and let that dry overnight. And it's, you know, I've got a little thing of coal, a little tub of coal for that, HO scale size coal. And then what I do is just, I painted that black first. You know, I put down just Elmer's glue, white glue, just brush it around real lightly, and then get a spoon and just put some coal in there and get a little brush and work it around and get it to where I want it. And then I take a 91% alcohol that like I have in this little container and just drip it in there and cover it all really good with that. Not too much, but enough to cover it. It's the same way I do my ballast on the railroad over there. And then I got this mixture of like half water, half glue, of white glue, Elmer's school glue, or whatever you want to call it. And just put that in there and let it soak. Then just let it dry all night. And that's how I make my coal loads. I don't know where my coal is. I must have put it up. But I got like a round container full of it. So, you know, I sprinkle it around the layout here and there, or wherever I want to use it, I have plenty. So, and makes a nice load. So that's all dry now. So the next thing now is to, I got to build the bottom for the tender and convert these old trucks here over to it and make it do electrical pickup on one rail, which should be pretty easy. And then we're going to remove the chassis out of this and put it into this shell here, the Crusader shell. It's pretty simple, really. Yeah, if it's like the other one I did a while back, it should be almost like a direct bolt-in style thing, you know. It should be pretty easy. So let me get this chassis out, and then I can show you how it'll go in this Crusader shell. And to remove these you got a screw there, a screw under there, and then you got that front screw underneath that front pilot right there. And then so you got to take the handrails off, which I think this one's already got the handrails missing, so that's good. And then you got the headlight that's hooked up in there. And you'll have to, I'm going to go with the LED, so I'm just going to snip it off. I'm just going to cut it off. And yeah, that comes right out. So let me get that taken apart, and I'll be right back. All right, got that chassis out. It only took a second. Looks like somebody already cut the wire for the headlight, so didn't have to worry about that. Like I said, one bolt, one screw up here, two on each side back here. Another thing is we're going to remove the weight out of here. So you got these two screws here that hold the weight. This holds the factory headlight assembly in the nose, which I'm not going to use, so don't worry about that. So take these two out and remove that weight. And then if your 3D print is correct, it's already got the holes made for the weight. So you slide the weight in there and screw it back down. So you just take it out of one and put it in the other. And I'm going to do that real quick and I'll show you, because I hate working with the camera in front of me. All right, I got that weight out. Usually when you get these weights out, you got to take that headlight piece out, but somebody glued the boiler cover to the shell. So I said, heck with it. I just pulled this side piece off because the shell's going to be junk anyway, except for I'll probably rob it of a bunch of details. Like these pumps and stuff. Man, those are great details for another locomotive, you know. So I'll rip all that stuff off of and keep the cab. And the handrail stuff will go on this locomotive. So I didn't want to break any of the important stuff. You know, I might be able to try to work that off. Save it for something else. But I left that in. Just kind of got this little thing in here. I cut it out with my clippers and just pulled it out the back. And then when I was trying to install it into the Crusader shell, it goes down this little, I don't know if you can see here, it goes down in here. There's a bunch of like pieces of 3D print in there, and I had to like kind of chisel them off, break them off, so that weight would fall down in there far enough. On the other one was beautiful. It just slid right in there, screwed right in, no problem. But those have a lot of flash or something down in there. So I got it cleaned out, and I got it in, and I got one screw in, which is plenty. It ain't going anywhere. And then I cracked the shell trying to do it, but you can't really even see it. It's like right down in the bottom down there. I put a little glue on it. Can't even hardly see. So, but yeah, that sucked. You know, but I got one screw in. I couldn't get the other one in because it's kind of not flat. It's cocked up a little bit because of the flashing in there, but it's in there. You got to have it, or at least some kind of weight, you know. So now I was correct. Somebody already did cut the headlight off that thing, so that's good. And then there's the chassis, and we'll see if it's going to go in there. See this front screw? It's under this front pilot right there. Sticks up right there. That goes in that front screw. At least it should. And then these two mounting screws, one there, one there. They should go on these tabs. Give me a little screwdriver here to show you. One here and one here. But you have to drill it. After you get that chassis in there to set where you want, then you'll have to line it up and drill it. And if I remember right, to get that chassis in there with that motor, I'll have to angle grind them or sand them at an angle just a little bit on both sides to get that motor to pass those, to fit in there correctly. And then you got to, this is remove right here. So you cut this off right here like that. And then if I remember right, I'll have to sand it back just a little bit to give a little extra clearance. If I remember right, if I do remember right. At least that's what I did on the other one. But with 3D prints, this, you know, you'll have to drill your holes first before you try to put screws in or anything like that, because this stuff will crack very easily. So let me work on getting that lined up. I'll just take my Dremel with the sanding drum on the front and just kind of angle sand that to where I need it. Just a little bit like that. Sand that off and repeat that to that side. and then put my cutter on and my grinding disc or cutter disc or whatever you want to call it, and cut them off, and then probably put my drum back on. My standing drum, just one of these, and just hit it real lightly. You know, you don't want to grind and grind and grind on it, but just it does it really easy. This stuff sands real easy. This 3D print stuff does. But yeah, it's got a lot of flashing inside there. So be very careful cleaning that out. Like I said, the last one I had, my other 3D printed one, the thing was beautiful. Didn't have nothing there. Slid right in there. Holes lined it up. Screwed it in. You know, everything. And like the modifications I had to do back here is the only modifications I had to do to that shell. I just hope it lines up with this. And guess there's one way to find out, is to see if it will line up. Looks like it might. I may have to take that trailing truck off so I can see what I'm doing. Yeah, I think so. Yep. So I am going to cut that off and just sand each of these sides back just a little bit. And then I'll have to put a motor and stuff on here to see. The first thing I'll do is get this all lined up in there, get it where I want, get the front hole lined up, and then line up these two holes, mark them, drill them, put screws on, make sure the chassis fits good. And then I'll put the motor and stuff on here and try fitting it in there. Like I said, I'll have to angle those two mounts probably. Maybe a little bit of this, sand a little bit of these off a little bit, open it up just a hair. So just got to be careful, take your time. So that's what I'm going to do here now. All right, I got that chassis mounted in there. This is really easy. It fit in there pretty good. The front screw here, I had to make the hole a little bit bigger, and that was it. And then once I got that in there and that screw just self-tapped itself down in there, I got lined up, and then I drilled out those two holes, and I went and just put one screw in it. I'll put the other one in later. But that's it right there. That's all you got to do for that. Now I'm going to dig out a motor and a drive shaft and all that good stuff. And I went ahead and kind of angled those mounts like I showed you, just because I know it'll probably be a problem with the motor. I had to see if I can find me a drive shaft and a motor and get that in. And I'm about to run me an LED. Yep. And I'll probably just go ahead and mount it up in here and run the wire and all that. I'll put the wire in and then put my chassis in. And I'll probably just run them back here. And I got to put one of them 2-wire plugs. So I'll run that too. Chassis is going to need a clean and a lube and all that, you know, before you run it and all that. I took the front and rear trailing trucks off, or the pilot truck and the trailing truck off. Just made it easier to work on. So left that center screw to hold everything where it needs to be. But like I said, the tender's not going to have, I'm going to use that 2-wire plugs like I always use. I'll have to make a pin for the tender so it'll hook here, but the current's not actually going to go through that. I'll use that plug. That way I know it's getting current really good. But this is a pretty easy project to do. I got my bell put in and a whistle or whatever that is up there. I just actually cut it off another locomotive, I think, and yeah, I got a couple old shells over there. So it came off old River Aussie shells, I think. So it's all River Aussie except for the 3D print. So that's pretty cool. You know, I built that one. I scratch built that one chassis, or that one Crusader shell a couple years ago, about the time I did my first 3D print. I like the 3D imprint and all that, but the one I scratch built, man, it just turns out it's a little bit longer because I made it for a Hudson chassis, but I think it looks so much better because it's all more scale, you know, and the plastic's not as thick and all that. But these are cool. It's just a quick, easy way to make a Crusader, you know. But yeah, I think the one I built is really super nice. That other 3D print I got over there, that first one I got, is really super nice. I didn't have to do anything to it, but like the details and stuff on it are like this too. You know, it's just out of scale somewhat. So, but it's still pretty cool though. You know, it looks cool going around the railroad there. You know, the layout and stuff. You can't really tell, but you know, it's nice, and you could sand them and make them, you know, a lot smoother and all that. But you know, I didn't want to do that. And you can't see how bad. I mean, it's just I don't know. But they look nice. I like them. I'm happy with them. They look good. You know, probably look better than the old pin line ones they made back, you know, what, 67 years ago. And I mean, it's a lot cheaper than one of them brass ones they got out there, you know, if you can find one. And you know, it looks good. It looks good for my house. That's all I gotta say. And I mean, reliable. Usually, River Rossi chassis are pretty reliable, unless you just get something that's been tinkered with so much it's junk, you know. But they're easy to work on and get parts for. Usually, to find parts for them because they've made millions of them. But like I said, I'm gonna get back, get my motor in there and my drive shaft, see if I can find anything, see what I got, and then I get it all mounted in there, and I'll show you. All right, I got the engine in, or the motor. I couldn't use the original River Rossi style motor, I guess, because somebody had broke off the motor mounts inside off the frame of this locomotive chassis. So I just put a can motor in it. This is a small can motor. Hopefully it'll work good. I had to make drive shaft, but you really can't see anything in there. Really, it's kind of a little bit smaller. I made a mount for it and everything, and it fits really good. Actually, probably fits better than original River Rossi style motor. But I just took some thick styrene and cut me out a piece and glued to the bottom, and then made some sides there so it would slide down in there, and glued them on. And I didn't glue the motor, at least right now. So I wanted to make sure everything was working good. And I just took a piece of masking tape, taped over those to hold it in place. And then I just used rubber drive shaft stuff. I don't like using that stuff because it always slips. So I put some glue on it. I'm going to let it dry for a while. Hopefully that'll help it. I was going to put plastic drive shaft in there, but I didn't have any pieces that would make it that small. They would all have to be a lot longer, than the motor would stick out a little further. So I just went with that little piece of rubber drive shaft. And so now the thing is, well, the motor's isolated, I think now, pretty much. So, you know, later on down the road, I guess you ever put decoders and stuff in, you don't have to isolate the motor. But I am going to have to run a power wire from the chassis here to the motor now, and then run another wire back to the tender to pick up, I guess, from the other rail, you know. So I am going to have to do that, and then put an LED headlight in. Yep. So that should be easy to do. I'll just put it up in the front and then run the wires down the side here, and probably that'll probably be a thing to do. That'll be easy. And then let me get all that done. I'll probably just stick an LED in that hole, that opening there, or something like that, if I can, or stick it up in there or something. I'm not sure. We'll see when I get to it. I might just put a small one in. But that was a cam motor I had laying around. It seems to run pretty good. I mean, over when I tested it, it ran pretty good. So it's I'm not sure what brand motor that is. I've got a couple of them laying in there. Just never used them on anything really. But hopefully it'll work good for this. Since, you know, this locomotive, just a Pacific, it only pulls 5 cars, I think. So don't need to pull a whole lot. So hopefully this will be good enough. So let me get this all wired up and everything, and LED and all that, and then I'll be back, and then we can do the tender. All right, I got this thing put back together now, with the LED and all the wiring in it. So I drilled out this hole just a little bit to get the LED bulb to slide into the back of it, and then ran a resistor and ran the wires down each side of the locomotive shell and glued the wires and stuff up in there so they wouldn't fall down into any of the running gear. And then soldered the wires up to the back of the motor here. So, and then I just took a spot of the chassis and cleaned it off with some sandpaper down to bare metal and soldered a wire to the metal chassis, because that does electrical pickup on the, that'd be the engineer side, which is this side here. And then I ran the wire back to can motor, and it goes to the top there, soldered in. And then I put my 2-plug wire, which is picking up power from the tender, which would be the other rail, and put that on the bottom of the can motor. So this should work. And then let's see what else we got left to do here. I'm gonna go ahead and put the handrails on, I think. Probably get some black paint and kind of paint that up a little bit in there, so it don't look so bad. And I think handrails is about it for this. And then we'll take the tender and then probably try to use this one. I'll probably take the base out of this one and see how close it is to fitting in here. Looks like it's gonna be pretty close. If I have to add some styrene to it or something, that'd be easier than building a whole new one. So that's what we'll do after that. So let me get my handrails on here. Basically what I'm going to do for the handrails is just find out where I want to put these little handrail holders, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know what they're called. But I'm going to use the ones off the old River Aussie body here. So I'll probably do like 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. And then it'll bend down and I'll put one down at the bottom. So it'll be 6. So there's plenty on the one side here for each side. I won't reuse this railing. You could if you wanted to, but I won't. Because by the time I get it pulled out, those will pull all out of it. Get the handrail pulled out of all those little holders, it's just going to be, I mean, I'll never get it straightened up to look halfway decent, but you could try. To me, it's just easy. I got brass rail in there, so I'll just grab a fresh piece and just bend it and be done. You know, I don't have to fight nothing. And then I got the other side. And then, like I said, I'm going to save this for detail parts later on in case I ever need any. And then that's it. So I'm going to get my handrails on. I'll kind of take a piece of tape and run them about where I want them and then mark the holes. And then do the other side the same way. That way it's all the same. So here we go. All right, I got the handrails on the locomotive. I used them pieces from that other shell, and then use brass rod to make the railing itself, because I would have mangled up that other railing trying to get it off probably. So it turned out pretty good. And I think I'm done with the locomotive. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint this all black in here a little bit so it looks a little better. And I've got the tender. That's the other Crusader I built probably 2-3 years ago. Oh, it might have been a little bit longer now. It's been a little while since I built that one. It's a 3D print too. So it's built just like this one, except for that one has a round motor in it. Don't have the can motor. But other than that, pretty identical. So LED light and everything. So I have it here for reference, so where I could drill the holes for the little holders for the handrail. try to make them look the same, you know. And then there's the other tender. When I got this one, it came with a 3D print bottom and trucks and everything like that. So that was nice. But I used that bottom to that southern shell. Move some of this out of the way here. You know, I just had to add a couple. It fit right in there almost perfect. But I added a little bit of styrene to kind of level it out, so it'd sit on that tab and that tab right there. And then I just it had the original wires soldered to it, and for electrical pickup, I guess. So I just unsoldered them, soldered my little two-way plug in there for the pickup, and just ran it through that little hole right there in the tender. I think that one's done the same way. And made sure the wheels were clean and the pickups were clean, and made sure all the wheels did the pickup on this side of the locomotive. So I'm going to paint that black, and then just put a couple, probably add me some more weight to it. Probably another ounce or so, I think. It's got a little bit of weight, but I'm going to add a little bit more. Probably just I was going to put a screw in there. I don't know. I really don't have enough room to put the screw in the front anywhere. Yeah. So I probably won't. I'll probably just put a little touch of glue on there. That's it. And I had to make a pin. I used a brass rod, just glued right into that hole. It's about the same size as a River Aussie pin. Just cut it to length and this little hole right there, and glued it right in. So that should work pretty good. And I still got to put my Katy coupler on. So got my wheels all clean and everything like that. So I'm just going to touch up some of this, do some paint work, some touch-up work here and there, and put a coupler on. And another thing is, these tenders got a spot. If you want to put a backup light in there, you can. I'm not going to. I'm just going to run it, man. You know, ain't really going to do get all crazy with it. You can always put DCC in here and stuff. This one here, this is a pretty good one, because it's got holes there for speaker and everything, you know, and that just fits right in there really good. So that's nice. I didn't glue that one in. I may not even glue this one in. We'll see though. For now. But let me get this all put back together here, and then I think we'll be ready to take it over and try to see if it'll run. So, all right. After I did some test runs with it, I had to make a few changes. The rubber drive shaft that I installed started slipping after a little bit. So I hate them things. I never have good luck with them anyway. So I did away with it. And then I have this old Model Power chassis, and I stole one of the drive shafts out of it and used it in there, and worked a lot better. Before I did that, I had tried another drive shaft that was a little bit shorter out of one of them RSO steam locomotives, Pacifics, but it was really loud, and I didn't like that. So then I found this one over here in my junk drawer and used it, and now it's better and quiet. So that was one thing I had to change. And then also, I was got that 2-wire plug there for the tender. I added another one in there. That way I could take the shell off and unplug like the LED lights and stuff. So I wouldn't have all those wires to mess with in between the chassis and the shell. I could just unplug it and move it out of the way and work on it really easy. And I had to put an extension to the drawbar to set the tender back just a little bit more, just maybe like 1/8 inch, maybe, not very much, just a hair more. It's because the motor sits back out just a little bit. So, but that's what I had to do to get it running. Now the only other problem I have is I get wheel slippage. And I thought it was missing a traction tire or something, but it's not. It's not loose or anything. None of the traction tires have any problems. So I don't, maybe it needs a little more weight in there, but I don't know. But it does run. It runs pretty good, I guess. With a little can motor in it, and it's quiet, and the LED lights working, and so. And then I got the 5-car passenger set. It's all River Rossi Reading cars. Pretty hard cars to find, actually. So it's 4 cars plus an extra tail car, because the real train only had 5 cars and had tail car on each end, because they didn't never turned to train cars. They turned the locomotive, but not the train cars. So it would run up one way, then they just turn the locomotive, hook it to the other side, and pull it back the other way. So it's kind of cool. And they all have Ducati couplers, metal wheels. I put metal wheels in them and had to add a little bit of weight to them. I think I got about an ounce of weight in each one. So they're rolling pretty good now. Originally, they didn't have metal wheels. They came with Ducati couplers. They don't have the body mount couplers. They have those River Rossi style conversion mounts, which are okay. So I just left them on there. And now we'll take this over to the layout and watch it go around a little bit. All right, here we go. Got it on the tracks. And then the 5 River Rossi cars. Like I said, I think that's a hard set to find, because I have not really seen it ever since. Luckily, when I was looking for it, I found it. So I got it. And not really, I've looked here and there after I've got it, and I've not really ever seen them. So I think it's like the Texas Special set they made. It's like kind of hard to find. But they are real nice cars. The light had to add weight. Like I said, I think about an ounce per car. Metal wheels. I put metal wheels in, and they already had the Ducati couplers. But they're really nice cars. That's for sure. And there's the Crusader. Let me know what y'all think of that. I think it turned out pretty nice. The first 3D print one I did, I like it better. It's a little loud when it runs, because it still has the original motor and stuff in it. I could probably change that drive shaft out in it. River Rossi's got that little piece of pipe style drive shaft or whatever. That tends to make them a little loud, sometimes the motors. This style drive shaft I got in here runs pretty quiet. I've got one in another Hudson. I did pretty much the same style drive shaft, and it's pretty quiet too. But we'll let it run around here a few times. I can't run it on the track here in front of it, because when I replaced that switch in there a while back, I guess the track crew forgot to wire it up correctly, or run more wires to it. It's got a dead spot in it. So I need to rewire that. So that's why I've been using that one track mostly right now. As soon as I get this video done, I think that'll be the next thing on my list, is to run a couple wires. Some more wires, rewire that switch real quick. Shouldn't take me very long. But let's fire this thing up, and it'll probably do a spin out, because it does slip a little bit. See, it's slipping a little bit. And it's going to need a little push start probably. Turn the power up a little bit. There we go. And you can see it's pretty quiet. So now we'll watch it go around a little bit. There it is, that bright headlight. It's a good looking train. Well, Need to push that plug in, it's hanging out a little bit. All right, everybody, a little something extra here. These are those 10 Tyco cars that I redid. Weathered them, put loads in them, metal wheels, kitty couplers, all that good stuff. So I'll kind of show you. I think they turned out pretty cool. Versus some old cheap cars, you know. Didn't do any graffiti or nothing, just weathering. I mean, these are kind of predate graffiti, I guess you want to say. So I originally want to run these with like a big boy or something. So there really wasn't that much graffiti back then. But yeah, I think they look pretty good for my first attempt at weathering. This is all done with acrylics. So I need to do about 10 more of these. Have a nice train. So over here back at the case, we'll take another look at the other first 3D print Crusader locomotive that I built. It's pretty much just like that one. The only difference is this is actually where the Crusader logo went on the side of the locomotive. That one doesn't have that nice, that 3D print that's on the layout doesn't have that nice little spot there. So I just put it up there. That one runs okay. It's a little loud, but it runs pretty good. It doesn't slip like that the new one does. I thought maybe the chassis is bent, but no. I took it apart, looked at everything. I don't know what's up with it. So maybe I just need to put a little bit more weight in it. And there's the Crusader I built a long time ago. That's my first one. That was made from a River Rossi Hudson. I made side skirts, redid the shell and all that. It runs pretty good too. That's probably my favorite one. It is a little bit longer than the other two, but I think the skirting, the corrugated skirting on the sides looks a lot better, more to scale, I guess you want to say. I just think this is other than that's pretty much the same, you know. But I built all this one. I really like this one. And then the tender I used on this one was just a Hudson tender. I just repainted it and stuff. So let me know which one you guys like better. I don't know. I like this one. It's just more to, I don't know. Got better detail, I think. And then I put the sun visors on it. Just, I thought it looked a little better with sun visors. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this video on my 3D print Crusader. I know I did one a while back. But I got these shells. I figure I might as well just do another one. Kind of give you maybe a little bit better detail on how to build one. They're really easy. If you got a 3D printer, just print you off one and find you a 462 Pacific River Rossi chassis. And I believe when you print them, it offers either two versions, River Rossi or the other version. I'm not sure, but it's for the, I believe the AHM RSO Pacific locomotives that they had. They're okay. Not quite as good as the River Rossi chassis, I think. But you know, you can put your one together, no problem. It doesn't take much to do it. Just clean it, paint it, and I mean, the decals are going to be hard to find. I got lucky and got 4 or 5 sets, I think, and then I scanned them on my printer and put them in my computer, and then printed off a few decals on that printer paper I bought. Used the clear on my inkjet and let dry all night. Then cleared it and let dry good, and they seem to work good. So you don't soak them in the water very long. Just put them in the water, then put them on a paper towel or something, and wait a few minutes, and they'll come right off. So I printed me some extras on that sheet, so I'd have them in case I messed something up. Because I used some on that Dreyfus Hudson, and I think my problem was I soaked them in the water too long. But I think they look good. Decals turned out pretty nice, I think, for just being some old maiden ones, I think. And the rail cars are really nice, the River Rossi rail cars. I think they're kind of hard to find, but they're out there. Just got to keep your eye open. I'm not sure. I'm sure there's other companies that have them too, but I wanted the River Rossi ones. That's the ones I always try to get, because those and the Concords. IHCs. I have the IHC set for the Mercury set. They're the only ones I could ever find that was for that set. But I hope y'all enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.